This is David Schnocke, Forest Manager for the North Carolina Department of Ag and Consumer Services Research Stations Division. And today we're going to be discussing an agroforestry practice known as silvopasture, which combines aspects of both agriculture and forestry, in which we are concurrently producing livestock as well as commercially valuable forest products on the same piece of land. You're currently standing in about the middle of a 17-acre research and demonstration site focused on silvopasture at the Cherry Farm Research Station in Goldsboro, North Carolina. While I'm the messenger for this agroforestry information today, the research being conducted on this site is actually being led by Dr. Alan Franz Lubers of North Carolina State University and Thomas Moreno, also of North Carolina State, as well as a number of past researchers involved earlier on when this was put in, including Dr. Fred Cubbage and Dr. Paul Mueller. This site was established in 2007, so if you kind of take a look around, these trees are about 13 years old, and effectively what they have done is they have planted loblolly pine, longleaf pine behind you, and if you look kind of directly behind you, but we'll get a better look at it later, there's actually cherry bark oak also planted out here. And between these planted areas, which are planted on a spacing of 6 by 6 trees, or 6 by 6, 6 feet between each tree, there are different size paddocks, like you see behind me, where the goal has been to produce forage for the livestock to actually eat once they're introduced to this area. So, basically, why you would look at something like agroforestry is, like I said, to kind of concurrently produce those two different products at the same time. Because just doing one alone, while economically feasible and beneficial on many, many sites, some landowners are increasingly starting to look at ways to produce multiple products on the same piece of land for a variety of reasons. So, one example of that. If we were to look at a normal forest plantation, so typical, just cut over area, reforest it with loblolly pine. While that can be very productive and economically feasible for many landowners, one big issue with it is that you typically have to have an upfront investment for reforestation and site preparation and things like that on that site. And landowners typically do not see any profits from that property for about the first 10 to 15, sometimes 20 years. Really, the trees have to grow to about this size until they're ready for a commercial thinning operation. So that's a long time to basically have invested money and not have any opportunity to get any profit back from that. Whereas in a silvopasture system, once these trees have been planted and once they get up about, 6, 8 feet tall or so, depending on the literature that you read, you can bring cattle into a situation like this and begin to generate income through livestock grazing while these trees are maturing. So in that way, you're getting an earlier income stream. Another variation of this, and something that was actually practiced on this particular piece of property, is before the trees were tall enough to be protected from livestock grazing, they actually intercropped this site. So again, looking at this paddock behind me, this is plenty large to grow certain crops. So for the first couple of years, they actually were growing corn and soybeans between these tree paddocks. So again, that was another source of early income. And I would encourage you to look into the literature. There's been a number of economic studies done on things like silvopasture, and for certain landowners, depending on the markets that they have available in their area, this can be a good way for them to generate a lot of different products on just one piece of property. So with that, I will stop this video and move the camera around a little bit and show you some other areas and kind of talk through some of the good and bad things about this silvopasture system.